Alright, guys, so Georgia women's basketball lost a heartbreaker to Hampton yesterday, which was Sunday, December 1st. I just want to say that I'm not calling for people's jobs. I'm not bashing our players or coaches or anything like that, but I think it's time we have a serious conversation about where we're going with Georgia women's basketball, because the last few seasons have not been great. Georgia lost to Georgia State earlier in the year, and they lost to Hampton. And then last season was a disappointment too. So I mean, it's time to start think about what's next with Georgia women's basketball. I have the record right here pulled up. And look, man, I love Georgia women's basketball. We've beat North Carolina Central, Houston, Furman, Tulsa, and Prairie View A&M, but we've lost to Georgia State, Georgia Tech, Penn State, and Hampton. I mean, losing to Georgia State for the first time in 40 years, since 1981, that was bad. Losing to Georgia Tech was absolutely horrible. But then you lost to Hampton, a team Vanderbilt beat by like 41 points. And this just didn't start yesterday. It started last year too. Georgia lost to Belmont, Duke, Georgia Tech, and Ball State last year. They went on a horrible stretch in conference play where they only won like 3 conference games. I think they beat Florida, Texas A&M, and Kentucky, I think, was the other team they beat in Kentucky. Kentucky was the other team they beat. And it's just like, what are we doing? Georgia women's basketball is one of the most storied programs at Georgia and in college women's basketball. I mean, look, and like I said, I'm not calling for nobody's head or saying they should be fired or saying the players aren't playing. That's not what I'm saying at all, because those players played hard yesterday if you watched the game. They were right there with Hampton until the end, and Hampton gets a very lucky break. They just throw it down the court, and there's somebody open. She runs with it, and then she banks it in. But I mean, something has to change, and what has to change first is the approach to women's basketball at Georgia. Just like the men's basketball team, just like the baseball team, it has been neglected for so many years. And I don't mean that a shot at the people who run the University of Georgia, but it's the truth. Georgia women's basketball has been neglected for many, many years by school and fans. That's nothing else that has to change. The fan support needs to change, and I just want to say, that's not me criticizing our fan base at all, because you pay for what you get. It's one of those situations where show me a better product, then I'll go to your game. That's not my vision on it, but it's just how a lot of people see things, is that if you win, I'll go. If you lose, I'm not wasting my time. And that's very unfortunate, because Georgia women's basketball deserves everybody's support. They deserve your respect. They deserve your full time and attention. It's just it's hard to watch. It's very hard to watch. Georgia was up 16 yesterday. There is no excuse why we lost to Hampton, a team Vanderbilt beat by 41 points. There's no excuse for Georgia losing these games. And it's completely inexcusable. It started last year. I don't know what to say, because I don't want to offend anybody, but Georgia should have made a better offer. They should have made a better effort to keep Joni Taylor as our head coach, because Joni Taylor would not lose games like this. Y'all can say what y'all want about Joni Taylor. At least she had Georgia to the NCAA tournament almost every year she was there. Georgia has only made it once with Coach Abe, and 3 seasons of this, and these last 2 seasons has been rough to watch. I mean, very, very hard. I'm not saying nothing. I want to stay respectful as possible, because I know there will be people watching this video I just want to keep it very respectful. I just want, at the end of the day, I want Georgia women's basketball to succeed like it has in the past, like it did in the 90s and 2000s with the great Andy Landers. We could get to that again. But Georgia has to start caring about it first. The university needs to care. The people need to care. The fans need to care. We need people caring about women's basketball in Athens. You look at LSU. You look at South Carolina. Those teams have pretty much. You look at Iowa. Those teams are the cream of the crop in women's basketball, and it was always not like that for a long time. Women's basketball was Tennessee, UConn, Georgia, then you throw in like an Old Dominion and UCLA. Women's basketball for many years was just 5 or 6 teams. Now you have South Carolina and LSU, you have Virginia Tech. I mean, Georgia has been lost in this. Georgia has been lost in women's basketball, and it's not right to our players who come to play for Georgia. It's not right for our fans who want to support this team. It's not right even for the people. It's not right. It's not right. It's not right. It starts up top. We need the athletic department to care again. We need them to pour money into women's basketball. I know not the average person will care for it, but I'm telling you, Georgia women's basketball has a very devoted fan base that will come to your games. The students have proven in the past. Remember South Carolina game last year, or 2 years ago. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. I think they played Carolina last year, yes. Actually, hold on. I can see right here if we played Carolina and we went to Carolina last year if I remember right. Yeah, I think we went to Carolina last year because I remember watching that game on TV. Yeah. So the year before that would have been the year 22-23 would have been the year Carolina came to Stegeman. Yeah, January 2nd, 2023. So, I mean, people have proved they will come to Stegeman Coliseum for a women's basketball game. You just got to give us, the athletic department has to care enough to give us stuff to work with and let us succeed. So that's all I'm saying is that I'm not saying nobody needs to be fired. I'm not saying that nobody needs to be losing their jobs. I'm not saying nobody's not doing good because, I mean, Georgia has a winning record, obviously. They're obviously doing good, but, I mean, they've just lost games that they should not have been losing to. Georgia had no business losing to Georgia State or Hampton or even Georgia Tech for that matter, but I just wanted to say that. I'll end it with that. We need people to support this team, but changes have to be made because this is not a smooth road at all, and something needs to change or Georgia is going to have a very hard time in conference play. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. We need something to change. I don't know what that is, but we need the university to start caring about women's basketball so they could succeed. And if they succeed, people will show up and everything will be good again. So yeah, go Lady Dogs.